How would you like to be ripping down a ceiling and be greeted by a bunch of these little angry fellas? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Look at that nest, boys. I snagged that one out of the rafters of this house today so that my daughter could bring it into school for her nature show and tell. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video on Pure Panorama. We got a little time tonight, maybe like an hour and 15 minutes before it's totally dark, so we're gonna dive into the HY35 TURBO rebuild, see if we can't get a little bit more progress on this thing, possibly even get this exhaust housing separated. So this is a 9 cm exhaust housing, whereas the exhaust housing on the HX35 is a 12 cm. They do have a 14 cm for the HX35s as well. The bigger your exhaust housing, the more flow you get, the lower your EGTs, etc., etc. So that is why these little HY35s aren't really ideal for lowering your EGTs and handling bigger injectors and things of that nature on your truck. When you start to do mods like that, that is why it is a good idea to do mods that complement your other modifications, aka your airflow side of things, when you start to up the fuel delivery in your truck. So this is just a little guy here. We are going to get it cleaned up and get some stuff addressed with it so that we can put it back on my 2001 24 valve Cummins. For anybody who's new here, we took it off the truck and replaced it with an HX35, which is, yes, still a stock factory turbo, but they put the HYs on the automatic trucks and the HXs on the older 12 valves or these 24 valve manuals. So we upgraded to the HX35 to gain some more boost and to go better with the 125 horsepower injectors that I have. But we're gonna put this back on so that we can do a little something different with the HX35 and just change the turbo setup altogether on the truck. The one thing that I'm trying to figure out right now is how I am going to get the wastegate actuator reinstalled, because the wastegate has to come off in order for all of this to be separated and to access the bearing housing. But like the HX35, it's easy to reinstall because you have your rubber boost line that comes off into the compressor housing, connects to a boost elbow, and this one is a hard line right into the compressor housing. So on the HX35, I was able to just stick an air nozzle in it and get this little arm here to extend and then clip it onto the wastegate lever there on the exhaust housing. But this one here being set up a little bit different, I don't know how we are gonna do that, so I gotta come up with a way to get this sucker reinstalled. Okay, so the wastegate is now popped off the turbo. You can see how that line right there literally just presses into the compressor housing, and then there's an O-ring that goes around right here and seals it. So that's how this functions. It literally just presses in right there, boom, and there's an O-ring there. I might not even put this back on. I might just leave it and plug this right off, because this thing is so small, it's not going to create that crazy amount of boost in the truck. So I probably don't even need the wastegate actuator for the little time that I'm going to have this on the truck. And a lot of guys will close these right off and pinch them down with an X hook, a J hook, or a turnbuckle and hold this thing shut anyways. And I also just discovered that I can't even move this damn thing. It is seized up beyond all belief right now. So it apparently wasn't functioning anyways. So I don't think we'll miss it. I will probably just come up with a way to plug this here hole in the compressor housing, and we'll go that route instead and not even run the wastegate. But I do want to see if I can at least get the wastegate to open and function like it should. So let me work on that for 1 second. And then I think we're in business. We can start to try and separate this here exhaust housing. Okay guys, so it is starting to get a little dark, and there's a couple things that I want to show you as far as the differences between the HY35 and the HX35. The one being the wastegate that I already showed you from the HY35 and how it has this hard line in it that goes into the compressor housing on this turbo. I want to show you the HX35 and how that varies so that you can get a better understanding as to why I can't just use a compressor with a air nozzle to reset this wastegate on here. So I'm gonna pop the hood in a second to show you that. This exhaust housing here is gonna take a little bit of beating to get it off of there. So basically to get these things free, and it's the same thing that I had to do with the HX35 when I got that one separated. I'm gonna let this thing soak overnight, and it's a good thing to do that anyways, just to let that penetrant really work its way down through there and hopefully start to help cause this thing to wanna pop free and get this off there. I did that with the HX35 as well. I just would heat it up an awful lot and then spray PB Blaster liquid wrench down in there, and I'll spray it right down inside the turbine so it soaks in from that direction. And then I also spray it all around here as well so that it will have the best chance possible of popping free off this bearing assembly. So I'm gonna let this thing soak overnight into the weekend. I'll spray it a little bit more tomorrow, and then maybe Saturday we'll get back into trying to finish getting this separated. But the theory behind heating it and then spraying it is when you heat it, obviously everybody knows that this will expand out and help to want to wiggle it free if you're hitting it with your dead blow. So when you heat it and then spray it with the penetrant, it'll suck that penetrant right down in there nicer than it would if it wasn't heated. The heat will just kind of open it up and let it go and suck it right in there. So that's what I do. I get it nice and warmed up. I'll give it a few whacks to see if I can't get it busted loose, but then I just spray the crap out of it with penetrating oil, and I'm gonna let this one sit and soak in the garage. So I figured we wouldn't get lucky and get this thing to pop free tonight. It would have been a damn miracle if it did pop free tonight. This has probably never ever been pulled apart, and I really am believing that even more now that I see that I can't even move this wastegate actuator lever here. The wastegate is literally just frozen shut on this turbo, so that is a dead giveaway. This thing has never ever been pulled apart, so it's going to take some convincing to get this exhaust housing off of here. But quick, before it gets any darker, let's pop the hood so I can show you how the wastegate is set up on the HX35. There is the wastegate actuator, and you can see how this one connects into your compressor housing through this boost elbow here, and then you got this rubber boost line that runs right up to the actual wastegate actuator itself. This is a TurboSmart IWG75 wastegate actuator that I got from them to run on my HX35 just because I liked the look of it. And you can also pop this here apart, and you can change the springs in there to adjust your boost pressures and what this thing will do while it's on your setup. But I can also adjust the boost number with the adjustable boost elbow right here that I got from Diesel Auto Power. So there's two different options I have on this turbo for adjusting my boost. This wastegate is a very nice wastegate, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe a little overkill for what I have, but it looks sharp and I wanted it. Those are the same wastegates that they install on the Fleece Cheetah turbos also. Now clearly you guys can see that the HX35, a lot of you guys who have been with the channel already know, but any of you guys who are new, you can see the HX35 is in much nicer condition. I spent some time polishing this. Well, I wouldn't say polishing because it's not really polished, but I went over it and sanded it to smooth it out and get rid of the cast markings on it and just to clean it up and make it look nicer. So I spent quite a bit of time doing that to this turbo. And here is the 12 cm exhaust housing. Right off the bat, you can see that is quite a difference in size compared to that little 9 cm on the HY35. So in general, the HX35 is, you can see the HX35 is larger. Even the compressor side is larger than the HY35. It's just a much better design and setup. Like I said, you get options to adjust your boost numbers here. Most people will just put the adjustable boost elbow in and be able to set your boost numbers with that. But I obviously have the Turbo Smart Wastegate actuator that allows me to also change out the springs inside this wastegate actuator to adjust my boost that way as well. But yeah guys, I want to get this off the truck for a little bit and do some different things with the turbo setup here on the old 24 valve. That is why I want to get the HY35 Turbo cleaned up and straightened out so it can go back on the truck just for a little bit, and then we will see what I have in store for this or something completely different. So there's that difference in the wastegate actuators between the two HX35 and HY35 turbos that I was explaining towards the beginning of the video, just so you guys could actually see it and understand better what I was trying to say. I didn't think that I'd have any type of success tonight in getting that exhaust housing off from the bearing housing of the HY35, because that thing has been on there for quite a while, been through many heat cycles and gotten hot plenty of times. So she is pretty much welded on there, and it's gonna take, like I said, a little convincing to pop that thing free and be able to get to the insides of the turbo and replace things like journal bearings and all that good stuff. I gave her a few love taps tonight though, so she knows that I'm on her and ready to take her apart and dissect her so that I can freshen her up. We are gonna just let it soak. I'll heat it up again tomorrow, spray it with some more penetrating oil, and then Saturday we will go back at it when we got a little more time, a little more daylight, and see if we can't get it to open up. The wastegate on this thing being frozen up though was a huge surprise to me. I never would have guessed that because I still wasn't able to push the boost higher than like 21-ish or so pounds when I was running this turbo on the truck before the HX35 got installed, and that was with the diesel auto power 125 horsepower injectors. So I still feel like if the wastegate was that frozen shut and not functioning and opening up at all, I should have been able to see a lot more than 21 psi of boost out of that little turbo. So that's a little odd to me. Maybe it just froze up after it's been sitting here. I don't know. Maybe it was working while it was on the truck, but I'd have to probably guess that it was frozen while it was on the truck as well. I also want to tell you guys real quick before I end this video out, if any of you are wondering why I haven't yet installed an intake horn or a different cold air intake on the truck, it's because I've been holding out saving those installs for the winter time, because they are smaller, faster, quicker installs, and I figured that I could just get some winter content out of that. I've been trying to plan for winter content since a little bit back during like midsummer or so, and trying to think up stuff that I could do as winter got here and I couldn't be out here working on the truck all the time. So little things like that, fast, quick, easy installs, I've been trying to just push off until winter. Those things are coming. We will get them on there, and then I figured once we get them installed, it'd also lead into some other videos, follow-up videos, reviews, and things like that. Just follow-ups on how the truck's performing with those installed. So that's why I haven't installed those things yet. If anybody was wondering, they are coming though, so you guys can look forward to those being installed on the truck. I definitely need them on the truck, and trust me, I've wanted to put them on long ago, but I'm trying to think and plan for the future to keep things rolling here on the channel so that you guys have content to watch as well. But that is it for this video, guys. No, it wasn't really successful with the turbo, but I expected that. We will get it busted open, and hopefully that'll be on Saturday. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button before you leave. If you're stopping in for the first time, you're new here, hit that subscribe button, join the family, baby, and I will see you tomorrow with another new video on something. I don't know. I haven't planned out this week, so it'll be something though. See you then. Peace.